Hello guys, this is Trinity Storm here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do 6th part of Naruto the Unknown Dojutsu. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
After 2 days. According to the Chunins present, Team 7, comprised of Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Naruto Uzumaki, has set the all-time record for the fastest time to complete the second survival test in only 1 day and 5 hours. Kakashi arrived at the tower shortly after his genin team and congratulated them on a job well done. He also winked at Naruto while the pink-et and raven-haired boy were not looking, silently telling him that he knew how the trio finished so quickly. In response, Naruto just shrugged and grinned sheepishly. Then they discovered that because they were well ahead of the deadline for the second test, they would have to stay in bedrooms on the tower's 3rd floor. They also had food in the 2nd floor kitchen to replenish the health and energy they had lost while in the forest. The restrooms were located on the 4th floor, and the surveillance room was located on the 5th. Sasuke asked Kakashi if he could train at the arena on the bottom floor. The arena was very large and would be ideal for him to practice in. Furthermore, they were the only team present at the time, so there was no need to be concerned about others seeing him train. However, his request was denied not only by his teacher, but by everyone in the tower, who stated that the arena must not be used under any circumstances, with the exception of Chunin exams tests. As a result, the Uchiha remained in his room, bored with nothing else to do but sulk. The strange seal on his neck caused by Orochimaru drew Kakashi's attention. He asked the boy where it came from, and Sasuke simply replied that a snake-like creature bit him in the neck. Kakashi recognized who Sasuke was referring to and went to inform the Hokage. He hasn't returned to the tower yet. Sakura came to Sasuke's room just a few hours after they arrived at the tower to check on him. When asked why she went to him, she explained that she wanted to make sure both of her teammates were okay. She spent half an hour in Naruto's room talking to him and an hour with Sasuke. Actually, it's quite ironic. Furthermore, the Uchiha no longer found her annoying. Maybe rejection changed her, he reasoned. Sasuke gave her the cold shoulder for the first few minutes, but as time passed, they started talking like normal friends. But when she realized she'd spent an hour in her crush's room, she was about to leave when Sasuke asked if she'd come back tomorrow. Pink-et blushed at first, then inquired as to why. The raven-haired boy responded that he preferred her non-annoying side and that she should keep being that way not for him, but for herself, which caused her to blush furiously. Nonetheless, she replied with a yes before leaving. And, just like the first time, she wasn't annoying the next day. But, unlike it, Sasuke did not give her the cold shoulder when she came by. They started talking right away and before they knew it, they were walking down the tower's halls and corridors. They actually passed Naruto, who was on his way to the restroom at the time. "Do you think this is moving too fast, Teme?" Naruto inquired. "What are you talking about?" Sasuke inquired, his brow furrowed. "Isn't it obvious that you barely know Sakura-chan and you're already on your first date?" Naruto responded, taking the Uchiha by surprise, and the pink-et widened her eyes and blushed furiously. "Dobi, let me get this through your tiny little brain. We do not have a date," roared Sasuke, who crossed his arms. "Oh, you're serious?" says the guy who has a slew of fangirls who would kill to date him. But first, a word of caution. Sakura-chan is a little. He was about to finish his sentence when he felt a straight punch to the cheek. "You better shut up or I'll do it for you," exclaimed Sasuke, a tick mark appearing on his head. With a headbutt, he elicited a response from the blonde. "Huh, so that's how it is," Naruto replied as he caressed his forehead after hitting Sasuke. "And this is the thanks I get for teaching you love advice on how to treat a girl properly? You must grow up." As a result, the two engaged in yet another pointless brawl. They were rolling around the floor, kicking and punching each other mercilessly. At the same time, Sakura's shock and blush had faded and been replaced by a glare. She stormed over to where they were and slammed their heads against each other again, both falling to the floor with birds flying around their heads in circles as soon as he saw them back on their feet. "What did I tell you two about fighting during exams?" she asked quietly, and Naruto and Sasuke both flinched in fear. They immediately apologized on their knees. "We're sorry, ma'am. That was just yesterday." While Sasuke and Sakura were together for most of the day yesterday, a very unusual event on the Uchiha's part, Naruto spent the day waiting for Team 8 to arrive. Team 9 arrived 13 hours after they arrived at the tower, followed by the Sand Team. It's not that Naruto doubts Hinata's team's ability to pass through the forest. He simply wants to see his beloved Hina-chan safe and sound. Naruto was currently lying in his room, staring at the white ceiling, filled with thoughts. "I understand how quickly we arrived, but I'm concerned about Hinata." He sighed as he looked at the clock on the far side of his room. "I'm bored out of my mind. What could I do? I want to train, but I can't because I can't use the arena, and we can't leave either." He shut his eyes. "I guess I'll just sleep then." After 3 hours, Naruto's eyes slowly opened, and he felt someone on top of him. His hands went up as he tried to figure out who it was. Oh, if Sasuke was messing with him, he'll certainly kick his ass. What happened next, however, was unexpected. His hands were wrapped around something plump and round, and they felt like fabric. The person on top of him moaned in the voice of someone he recognized. "Oh, did Naruto-kun turn into a pervert while I was gone?" the voice asked, his eyes wide open. He was staring into the white eyes of Hinata Hyuga, who was on top of him, only propped up on the bed by her hands. He quickly drew his hands away from her buttocks, and she moaned in disappointment. "Ah, I was enjoying it." She smirked, making Naruto scrunch his brows at her odd personality. Her face moved closer to his, and he blushed at the proximity. "Missed me?" She smirked at his embarrassed expression. "Hina-chan, please get off of me, this is kind of embarrassing," he croaked, and she made a cute, sad face before getting off of him, allowing Naruto to sit up. Before he spoke, the blonde sighed in relief that she hadn't done anything inappropriate. "So, when did Team 8 arrive?" he inquired innocently. "Actually, we just arrived," she sweetly replied. Naruto gave her a puzzled look. "Because our team specializes in tracking, we can easily catch up to other teams. I went straight to your room because I wanted to see you. It's killing me that I haven't seen you in more than a day, Naruto-kun." He gave her a warm smile. "Well, I'm happy to see you, Hina-chan." He went over to her backpack, which was near the door, and took it. "Come on, I'll accompany you to your room," he said, holding out his hand for her to accept. Naruto considered asking what was wrong with her earlier as they walked down the hallway, but decided against it because it might make things worse. Hinata was the first to speak. "So, where have Sasuke-san and Sakura-san gone?" "Naruto-kun, you appear to be quite alone in your room." He shook his head. "Who can say? He could be deep inside her already, for all I know," he made a joke, which prompted Hinata to punch him in the shoulder while narrowing his eyes. "What? That's all I'm saying. I saw those two walking side by side yesterday and they appeared to be fine in my opinion." When he looked at her, he saw that she was still narrowing her eyes at him. "Don't give me that look when you've been a pervert yourself," he snapped back. "Earlier, you appeared to be about to rape me." "I'm not sure what you're talking about," she said innocently, looking ahead. After a few minutes, they arrived at Hinata's room. The blonde tossed her bag onto her bed, and they both sat on the edge, their hands still intertwined. "Do you know what you need to do if we have to fight in the third exam test?" he inquired. "Yes, Naruto-kun, I recall the technique you taught me. But what makes you think the third test will involve combat? On the first floor of this tower, there is a massive arena. If that doesn't imply a fight, then I'm not sure what does. Really? Naruto-kun, I never thought you were smart. She teased, causing a tick mark to appear on his head. Hey, I'm not stupid, you know. He responded, making her laugh. Calm down, Naruto-kun, I was just kidding. He pouted and averted his gaze before she spoke again. So, what are your plans for the rest of the day? We still have a day and a half before the second test, she tapped him on the shoulder. Perhaps we could train at the arena. We haven't trained in a long time. He chuckled as he ruffled her hair. I suppose you don't yet. In response, she raised an eyebrow. We attempted to train at the arena yesterday, but we were denied. So, no, we can't. Please accept my apologies. He bit his cheek. She blushed at the way he addressed her as dear. It gave the impression that they were a married couple. She averted her gaze, her cheeks a tomato red. Don't bother me like that, Naruto-kun, she exhaled. Is my adorable Hina-chan embarrassed? He continued on his way. He liked seeing her embarrassed because it made her look cute and adorable. He patted her shoulder when she didn't respond. He checked the clock on the other side of the room and saw that it was 1:32 page. M. He stood up, walked towards the door, and was about to leave when he turned to face Hinata. I'm just going to take a bath, Hina-chan, and then I'll be right back. Just as he was about to turn the doorknob, he felt Hinata's hands grab the sides of his arms, forcing him to turn around. Hinata wasted no time in capturing his lips with her own as her arms wrapped around his neck. Naruto's eyes widened slightly as he looked at Hinata, who was clearly having a good time. So this is her way of retaliation, huh? He wondered. I need to get this done quickly because I stink. Naruto's hands snaked around her buttocks, grasping the soft flesh beneath the fabric. When she felt his warm hands on her body, she moaned slightly. He squeezed her beautiful ass, then slapped her right cheek, causing her to gasp into the kiss in surprise, allowing Naruto to thrust his tongue inside, taking complete control, and Hinata had no problem with that. Her arms drew him closer, while his hands dove deeper, reaching her legs. He effortlessly picked her up, and she wrapped her legs around his waist as he carried her to her bed. He sat down on the edge and attempted to remove her arms from around his neck, but she only tightened her grip on him. He could feel blood rushing down to his lower regions, and the bulge on his pants grew larger as a result. Naruto snatched both of her wrists with one hand and pinned them behind her, leaving her vulnerable. Naruto-kun. Hinata moaned when she felt his other hand on her soft back, and then she felt the bulge on his pants. In exchange, she began to grind her hips against his, and the pleasure she felt was palpable. Her pantyhose were getting soaked in her juices by the second. I adore your butt, Hina-chan, he said, smirking at Hinata's now red face. They're so soft and plump, it makes me want to play with them more, he said before giving her ass another squeeze and slap, and she opened her mouth in delight, Naruto's tongue attacking every possible place in her mouth. I need to end this now, Naruto thought as he pushed his way deeper into her mouth. When Hinata felt him attack her neck and place his hand on her breasts, her eyes widened in surprise. She couldn't stop his assault because her arms were pinned behind her and she couldn't defend herself. Your breasts are also good, Hina-chan, he said, fondling her chest through her clothes. Her eyes widened in delight and surprise. This wasn't part of my plan. Hinata exclaimed internally as her body went limp. Naruto-kun is going too far. She then fainted into unconsciousness, her head falling on Naruto's shoulder, her mind projecting images of her and Naruto having rabbit sex for hours. The sensation of the blonde's lips on her neck and his hands on her chest proved too much for her, even though she was still dressed and much braver and confident than before. Naruto smirked and panted at her unconscious form. Wow, that was a lot longer than usual. But it looks like I still win, Hina-chan. He then threw the blanket over her and kissed her forehead before leaving the room. At the arena 2 days later. The second test was passed by 8 teams, which was twice as many as the genin expected. The Hokage summoned all of the young shinobis to the arena, facing them all. The journalism professors were right behind him. Behind them all was a large statue that formed the Ram seal. On top of it was an electric board with the names of all the genin that passed the second test. The arena has 2 balconies on the left and right sides that serve as viewing areas for all spectators. Hiruzen cleared his throat and started speaking. "First and foremost, please allow me to congratulate everyone here," he said in his usual tone. "Congratulations on passing the second test of the exams. However, the number of genins who passed exceeded our expectations, so the final test will be divided into 2 rounds. The preliminary and final rounds," he explained, drawing puzzled looks from nearly everyone. "Hokage-sama, please allow me to take over," a new shinobi said. Hiruzen nodded and took a step back to allow him to speak. "My name is Gecko Hayate, and I'll be proctoring the final portion of the exams." Hayate was a man with short brown hair and dark markings under his eyes. Despite leading a healthy lifestyle, he had been plagued by an unexplained chronic cough since. He was dressed in the traditional Konoha garb, complete with the village's green flak jacket, a forehead protector worn as a bandana, and black shinobi sandals. A preliminary round will be held first because many nobles will assist in deciding who to promote to chunin from the competing genins. It is not recommended that they waste their time with numerous genin. Before the finals, the winners of the preliminary matches will have 1 month to prepare. Every match will be a battle to see who can be the last man standing. The winner can be determined through knockout, death, or forfeit. "Is there anyone willing to forfeit before we begin?" he inquired. After a few seconds, a silver-haired man with glasses approached. "I give up," Kabuto said. "I wasn't ready for this, I can't fight, and I'm not in perfect shape for it," he explained sadly, drawing sympathy from most of the shinobi as he walked out of the tower's main doors. Now that that's settled, would Sasuke Uchiha and Yoroi Akkad please enter the arena? He inquired, and combatants stepped forward. Everyone else should go to the balconies. From there, you can observe the upcoming battle. The upcoming matches will be announced on the electric board above the large statue behind me. To ensure a fair game, the names will be shuffled. That's it," he continued, and all the shinobi shunshined there as Sasuke and Yoroi exchanged glances. "Get ready to lose, brat," Yoroi said smugly. "You will succumb to the might of the Uchihas," smirked Sasuke. "Are you prepared?" Hayate asked, with both genins nodding. Hajime. Canonical Sasuke vs. Yoroi. Winner by knockout. Sasuke Uchiha, Hayate declared after witnessing Uchiha defeat the Auto Nin with a powerful taijutsu combo. Sasuke panted in exhaustion before collapsing to his knees in pain, clutching his neck. The strange seal on his neck caused by Orochimaru began to glow, and he felt a surge of power within him. He screamed in agony, eliciting sympathy and concern from the majority of the shinobi present. Kakashi gave his student a brief glance before turning to face the Hokage. Hiruzen nodded, and Kakashi shunshined towards the arena, carrying the Uchiha over his shoulder before exiting the tower. On the balconies. What happened to Sasuke-kun? Sakura wondered, worried about the safety of her teammate and friend. "I'm hoping he'll be fine. He was so good in his previous match," she said, rubbing her arm at the same time. Naruto walked away. He'll be fine, you know," he said simply. "I doubt a simple injury will stop him." "How do you know it's just a simple injury?" the Pinkette inquired. Naruto shook his head. "Just a thought." For Sasuke, a simple fracture or dislocation is nothing, he spoke up in support of his friend. "You know, I believe in him." Sakura gave him a warm smile before speaking again. "By the way, why are you so worried about him?" he inquired, arching his brow. Her smile had vanished, and her brows had been replaced by scrunched brows. What are you on about? Didn't Sasuke reject you while we were in the forest of death? Why are you still worried about him? It's as if you're still madly in love with him. He looked at her with suspicion. Hey, don't ask me, she tried to reason, but Naruto cut her off. You two were pretty much alone all by yourselves a few days ago, he remarked, walking closer to Sakura and raising an eyebrow. What were you two doing on your own? I'm hoping that's not what I'm thinking right now. Sakura blushed angrily at his sudden closeness and his question. None it's of your business, Naruto, she stuttered, turning away. You'd better tell me right now or you'll be teased by me for the rest of your life. He continued, teasingly, trying to get her to respond. The blush on her face faded and was quickly replaced by an angry expression. I said enough. She yelled back, punching him in the face, her demonic aura erupting all over her body. Fear gripped the blonde. You will not discuss this matter with anyone else, she growled, making Naruto sweat. Are we all clear? Yes, ma'am. He exclaimed fearfully, and Sakura smirked before something caught both of their attention. The electric board began to shuffle through the names of all the participants until it came to a halt on the designated combatants. Please, Konkuro of the Sand and Masumi Tsurugi, proceed to the arena. The two genins descended into the arena and made their way to the center. Are you ready? Hayate inquired, and both genins nodded. Hajime. A.N. Konkuro vs. Masumi, as in canon. Konkuro of the Sand wins by knockout. As the puppet user punched the air in triumph, Hayate said. He quickly returned to his teammate's side as the electric board began to shuffle through the names again. Please proceed to the arena, Kiba Inuzuka and Riku Taniguchi, said Hayate, and Kiba grinned when he heard he was next. Alright, Akamaru, he exclaimed, looking up at his white pet dog above his head. Let's show him what we're made of. The dog barked twice in response before jumping down on the battlefield and staring down at his opponent. Kiba vs. Riku. Riku, a young boy with silver hair and a face most girls would kill for, raised both of his hands as if to say, wait a minute. He had a Casanova personality and was always trying to woo girls wherever he went. He turned around and waved to his teammates who were standing on one of the balconies. Riku noticed his girlfriend and another teammate cheering for him and blew her a kiss before turning around. However, he was met with a strange technique that appeared to be dangerous for him. Gatsuga. Kiba screamed as he and Akamaru spun like a tornado towards their opponent. The Gatsuga was an Inuzuka clan signature technique that required a ninkin to perform with the user. The two will spin at breakneck speed and attack the enemy with a force powerful enough to drill through stone. The attack smacked the silver-haired boy in the face, sending him flying to the other side of the arena, defeated, anime tears streaming from his eyes. Next time, loser, don't look away from a fight, Kiba said, high-fiving Akamaru and sticking his tongue out at his defeated foe. Kiba Inuzuka wins by knockout, Hayate announced in a bored tone, disappointed that the match didn't live up to his expectations. Kiba returned to the balcony where he had been earlier as the electric board shuffled through the names again. Who do you think will be the next one, Shino? He inquired of his teammate. I'm not sure, he stated flatly. What if you're the one? Then I'll give it everything I've got. That's great to hear. Kiba's grin was followed by Akamaru's bark. Hinata, how about you? What if you're the next person to fight? He inquired of his shy teammate. I guess, like what Shino-kun said, I'll try my best, she pretended to stutter in order to remain in character. She wasn't quite ready to show how much she had changed yet. However, she will soon show her true self, and she will no longer have to fake her personality. It's killing her to act differently when Naruto is around, especially when they're acting all lovey-dovey when they're alone. But it was a small price to pay to keep themselves safe from the village's hatred and mistrust. The electric board then came to a halt on the two opponents for the match. "Shikamaru Nara and Kinsuchi, please go to the arena," Hayate said. Said shinobi dove into the battleground below. "What a drag," Shikamaru grumbled in his usual bored tone. Kin, on the other hand, remained silent as she stared the child down. "This kid looks weak," Kin thought to herself. "Yes, I'll win this in under a minute." "Are you prepared?" Hayate inquired, and both genins agreed. Hajime. Canonical Shikamaru vs. Kin. Winner by knockout. Shikamaru Nara, Hayate declared, but Nara simply yawned as he returned to the balconies. "Good job, Shikamaru," Choji praised his best friend. "That was an incredible strategy you devised," he exclaimed, earning a shrug from Shikamaru himself. "Troublesome," he replied, before returning his gaze to the battleground below. The next two combatants were already on the electric board. "Hyuga Neji and Megumi Aiko," Hayate explained. "Please proceed to the arena." The two genins leapt to the battlefield. Neji had his usual smug expression on his face, while Aiko was terrified. Back in her home village, she grew up fearing those with dojutsus, such as the Uchiha and the Hyuga, due to the legendary abilities they are said to have. Then today could be considered her worst nightmare. "Are both combatants prepared?" he inquired. Neji nodded, and Aiko took a few seconds before nodding as well. Hajime. Aiko vs. Neji. The Hyuga took a gentle fist stance and stared his opponent down. Aiko quickly pulled out her kunai and gulped. Neji was the first to charge, and the young lady's eyes widened slightly. When she looked down at his feet, she noticed a blind spot. She ducked and punched his legs just as the Hyuga was about to strike, causing him to hiss in pain. It also caused him to lose his balance and fall forward, but a quick roll saved his face from collapsing on the arena floor. He returned her gaze and noticed her erratic breathing in fear. He smirked and rose to his feet again. Still feeling the pain in his legs, he punched them a few times before charging back at her. Aiko was at a loss for words and had little time to react. She did what any other idiot would have done. She ducked his incoming strike again and went for his legs, this time using her kunai while her eyes were closed due to fear. She opened her eyes because she didn't feel anything. He was not present. "Over here," a cold voice said from behind her. She widened her eyes, but before she could do anything else, she was kicked in the back, sending her flying. She was able to stop herself from going any further by striking the floor with her kunai. She raised an eyebrow at the smirking Hyuga before performing a few hand seals. "Kaiten. Jikaki no Jutsu," she yelled, launching a massive fireball at Neji. "The fire user. Interesting," Neji thought as he dodged the incoming jutsu before activating his Byakugan, the Hyuga clan's jutsu. When Aiko saw him evade her first attack, she unleashed an even stronger one. But she lost her concentration when she saw his Byakugan. She didn't even notice him attacking her with the gentle fist, the Hyuga's taijutsu style. Neji sent her flying back after a quick succession of hits, sealing some chakra points in the process. The Hyuga prodigy approached Aiko's body slowly, sensing his victory was near, but she raised two hands before he could do anything else. "I forfeit," she begged, tears stinging her eyes and her voice drying up. "I can't fight any longer." "You win." She closed her eyes and awaited his attack, but it never came. When she opened her eyes, she noticed him smirking at her. "You know, I could finish you off right now if I wanted to," he threatened, making her shiver. "But I won't because I respect you." She widened her eyes and raised an eyebrow. "You accepted your fate, which was to be defeated by me. Fate declared you the loser, and you accepted it. You have earned my respect as a result of this." With a sarcastic tone in his voice, he explained why some of the people watching from the balconies narrowed their eyes at the Hyuga. Match winner by forfeit, Neji Hyuga. As the prodigy made his way back to the balconies, Hayate announced. When Neji returned to the balcony where he had been watching earlier, he noticed Hinata narrowing her eyes at him. "Oh hello, my weakling cousin," Neji smugly said. "During my fight, did I teach you anything worthwhile? I hope I succeeded. I'd be honored to teach the clan's heiress a few moves." He smirked at her as he crossed his arms. Instead of pressing the issue further, which would almost certainly result in a fight, Hinata simply scoffed before returning to her team to watch the next match. What he said to that girl was unforgivable. She exclaimed. "What's wrong with him, talking like that?" She sighed mentally. What would it take for him to realize how wrong he is? She wondered as she felt a warm hand on her shoulder and turned to see Naruto smiling at her. "It appears that someone is deep in thought," he observed. "Could you please tell me what it is?" "I could assist," he suggested before shaking his head. "It's really nothing important," she responded. "I'm just considering how to handle things in the future." He raised an eyebrow at her, perplexed, before both of their gazes were drawn elsewhere. The electric board began to shuffle through the names once more. "Please proceed to the arena, Tamari of the Sand and Tenten," exclaimed Hayate. Smirking at each other, both kunoichis jumped down to the battlefield. Canonical Tamari vs. Tenten. Tamari of the Sand wins by knockout. Hayate said this while smirking at her fallen opponent, who was unconscious at the top of her fan's handle. Lee narrowed his eyes at the girl and was about to run down to the arena to defend his friend when Guy stopped him. "Don't even think about it, Lee," he said blankly, his gaze fixed on the combatants on the battlefield. "But, Guy-sensei, that girl beat up Tenten so badly that she may have killed her," he begged, but his teacher simply shrugged. "Lee, Tenten is not dead. Even from where I am, I can see her breathing. She only requires medical attention." He looked at his student, who slightly widened his eyes. "Don't let the enemy distract you, Lee. Even though Tenten was severely injured, you must remain composed and calm so that your adversary does not take advantage of you." "Got it?" he explained, and Lee slowly nodded. The names of the remaining participants began to jumble on the electric board above the statue. Hayate called out, "Uzumaki Naruto and Kabashi Takeru. Please proceed to the arena." Said genins jumped down on opposite sides of the arena and started walking closer to the center, staring each other down. "Whoa, for a second there, I thought you were going to bail on me," smirked Takeru. Takeru was a medium-sized boy with brown hair, blue eyes, a tanto on his back, and an otogakure forehead protector. He was dressed in a light blue vest with a red undershirt, black shinobi sandals, and black pants. "And why do you say that?" Naruto asked calmly, his face emotionless. They came to a halt in the center. "Did you not notice me during the second test in the woods? All of the teams we faced were defeated by my power. And I'll make sure you fall as well." He pointed to the blonde, and Naruto gave him the middle finger. Takeru was about to attack him when Hayate raised an arm to stop him, indicating that the fight had not yet begun. Naruto smirked as the brown-haired boy scowled. "Takeru versus Naruto. Are you prepared?" Hayate inquired, and both nodded. Hajime. They got off to a different start than any previous match. They spent the first few seconds staring into each other's eyes, increasing tension, before circling each other, looking for any weaknesses they could exploit. On the balconies. "They look like wolves about to tear each other apart," Kiba remarked with a grin. "Troublesome," Shikamaru grumbled. "With the way they're attempting to get inside each other's heads, the winner could be declared at any moment. I am honored to be able to watch a youthful person like my eternal rival fight such an amazing battle. Also, I will do my best later on." Lee spoke in his usual tone. They haven't even touched yet," Ino said, sweating at his antics. "Run, Naruto." Sakura supported her teammate and friend. You've got this. Take this one for our team. Ino and the other Konoha genins looked at her, perplexed. What was she doing cheering for Naruto? She despised him and had only eyes for Sasuke, right? In the arena, Naruto looked up at the balcony where he heard someone call his name. Sakura was waving her arms and giving him a thumbs up, and he was so focused on her that he didn't notice a medium-sized rock smacking him square in the stomach. Takeru smirked at him as the blonde hissed in pain and bowed forward. I told you you'd succumb to my power. I'll demonstrate my earth jutsus. He charged at Naruto. Prepare to lose, scumbag. Naruto's head snapped up as the earth user approached, and the blonde leapfrogged over him to avoid an attack. Takeru turned around and began to run back towards Naruto. The blonde, on the other hand, saw him coming. He lied down on the arena floor, catching Takeru with both of his legs before launching him forward on his face. Takeru quickly recovered and rose to his feet, dusting off his clothes. He returned his gaze to his opponent, who was sitting with his legs crossed and scowling at him, attempting to get inside his head. Takeru narrowed his eyes and drew his tanto, pointing it at Naruto. Have you seen this? This is the blade that will bring you down. He charged at Naruto once more, his tanto aimed at the blonde's neck. I'd better give up now. Naruto lied back down on the arena floor again to avoid his tanto, then immediately propelled himself to his feet with a kip up. The Auto Nin returned to Naruto and attempted to strike him with his tanto, but the blonde easily avoided it. Naruto kicked him in the chest as soon as he saw an opening, causing him to bow in pain before the blonde crouched down and delivered an uppercut, which Takeru avoided by jumping a few meters back. He made the ram seal and slammed his palm on the ground as soon as he landed. Tsuchi Nami no Jutsu, Doten. The arena floor on which they were walking suddenly began to move like a wave on the ocean, prompting Hayate to temporarily exit the arena. Naruto's scowl had vanished, replaced by a confused expression as he struggled to control his body due to the sensation of an earthquake. Takeru, unaffected by his own technique, rushes towards the blonde, his tanto tightly gripped. Naruto narrowed his eyes and went through some hand seals quickly. Kaden. Hisenka no Jutsu. He exhaled, launching multiple small fireballs at Takeru, who easily avoided them. He was getting closer. The blonde used hand seals once more to thwart his opponent's attack. Kaden. Jikaki no Jutsu. He yelled, launching a massive fireball straight at Takeru. The earth user smirked and threw his tanto at it. Naruto's eyes widened as he saw Takeru's tanto pass through his fireball, allowing him to run through it. The earth user re-grabbed his weapon before hurling a slew of shuriken at Naruto. The projectiles were getting closer, and the ground was still shaking like an earthquake had just happened. Just as the shurikens hit him, he made a hand sign and his body turned into water. Sweden. Suika no Jutsu. The shurikens simply passed through him, unharmed. Everyone, including Takeru, was surprised to see Naruto's body turn liquid and allow the shurikens thrown by his opponent to pass through him. He lost control of his earthwave jutsu because he lost focus, causing the ground to stop shaking. He couldn't help but run towards the blonde as Naruto caught him with a body slam that sent him to the arena floor. Takeru maintained his momentum by raising both feet and kicking Naruto in the chin, causing him to stumble back while the earth user stood up and jumped back to gain some distance. Naruto quickly recovered from Takeru's kick and charged at his foe, his kunai in hand. As Naruto approached, Takeru raised his right leg and kicked Naruto in the face, causing him to fall to the floor. The earth user smiled sadistically before swiping his tanto at the blonde ninja, but Naruto deflected with his own kunai. Takeru's expression hardened as Naruto fought back with every ounce of strength he could muster. Realizing they'd reached a deadlock, the blonde took a deep breath, and Takeru jumped away, knowing what he was about to do. Gokakyu. Naruto yelled, launching another fireball that sadly missed everyone. He stood up only to have the ground he was standing on turn into mud, trapping him in its sticky properties. Taiga. Doridoden. Takaru said, smirking. He had Naruto exactly where he wanted him. He went through another set of hand gestures. You better get ready, because I'm about to kill you. A mud dragon's head appeared beside him. Doruden, Doten. The mud dragon began spitting out small mud like bullet projectiles, alerting Naruto to the danger. The blonde quickly practiced some hand signals. Mizurapa. Sweeten. A stream of water shot from his mouth, converting the incoming mud bullets to plain mud. Takaru clenched his teeth in frustration before collapsing to one knee from exhaustion and excessive chakra consumption. The mud that was suffocating Naruto vanished. Looks like he can't keep this up for long, so he uses the mud river and mud bullets to finish off his opponents. He quickly stood up and grabbed his kunai, charging towards his fallen opponent. Takaru locked his gaze on the approaching blonde. Taj Doriheki, Doten. He slammed his palms together, and 4 massive earthen walls rose up from the ground, enclosing Takaru. When Naruto's kunai collided with the earthen wall, it flew out of his grasp as soon as it made contact with the hard rock. You'll never break through my defenses. Let's see how long you can hold out, loser. He taunted while laughing uncontrollably, adding more chakra to his technique, making it more durable. Just give up because this was the power I mentioned earlier. You'll never be able to defeat me while I'm inside my fortress. So give up, you loser. Naruto attempted to break the rock wall by punching and kicking it, but he was unsuccessful. In exhaustion, he panted slightly. Damn it, I can't keep wearing myself out punching my way through, he quickly thought. I can fly in if I use my meteor, he said, looking around at the shinobis watching the fight. No, if I do, I'll be seen. How could I? He was temporarily cut off from his thoughts when an idea came to him. Yeah, that might work. But first, I'll need some cover. He formed a hand seal by joining his hands together. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Around 50 Naruto clones appeared and began attacking Takaru's walls. Because of the number of attackers and the speed with which they struck, smoke began to appear on their battlefield, hiding Naruto and his clones. On the balconies. What does that idiot think he's doing? Sakura, who was perplexed because all of the clones had attacked the earthen walls, inquired. He'll get tired if he keeps doing that. It appears that a loser will remain a loser, forehead, Ino smirked, drawing Sakura's gaze. He's up to something, you too, Kakashi said as he put his hands in his pockets after returning from taking Sasuke out of the tower. What do you mean? Guy inquired. Consider what he did. He was tearing down the walls that the other boy had built earlier. But then he paused in the middle of it and resumed after creating shadow clones. If he wasn't thinking, he would have made all those shadow clones even before the other boy made his walls of protection. Everyone widened their eyes in realization. I never thought of it that way, Kurenai, Team 8's Junin teacher, said before returning her attention to the match. Hey, Shikamaru, that kid might be as smart as you. Asuma, Team 10's journalism teacher, said as he drew his 4th cigarette of the day. He's thinking almost exactly like you, but I still think you're smarter. He patted the kid with the pineapple hair, who only grunted in response. Does this imply that the idiot understands what he's doing? This is a first, Kiba patted Akamaru on the head. The flames of youth burn brightly inside my eternal rival's soul, Lee said. I will do my best in my battle, or I will run 1,000 laps around Konoha. I'm curious where Naruto-kun is going with this. Hinata pondered sweetly in her mind. She, like Sakura, wanted to cheer for Naruto during the match but decided against it because it would be out of character for her. I hope he uses that jutsu soon. In the arena. Naruto quickly scanned the area around him to ensure he couldn't be seen. Okay, I'm good, he thought before channeling chakra into his hands, which began to glow with blue flames. I'll show you what my eyes are capable of. He exclaimed as the blue flames on his hands flared to life. Ukten. Moru Susei. he yelled, punching the walls with his augmented fists. The nearby rock melted due to the heat, but it wasn't enough, so the blonde continued to attack. When Takaru noticed that the walls he built were beginning to shake, he realized that his new technique was far superior. What's going on? He wondered. What is causing the ground to shake? I didn't use my earthwave technique. He realized as the temperature rose around him. How come it's getting so hot in here? It wasn't this hot when he was interrupted by a cracking sound in front of him. When he saw Naruto break through one of his earthen walls, Takaru's eyes widened. Before he could say anything, Naruto silenced him with a left hook followed by a right hook. The earth user was then kicked in the abdomen, followed by a horse kick that sent his face upwards. Naruto immediately responded with a right uppercut, launching Takaru into the air. All of the onlookers saw Takaru emerge from the smoke and raised an eyebrow at what had happened while the smoke obscured the two from view. Then they saw Naruto jump up high before delivering a brutal axe kick to Takaru, sending him crashing down with such force that the arena shook slightly. On the balconies. What just happened? Exclaimed Ino, who was holding the metal railings after feeling the arena shake slightly. What kind of person is your blonde teammate, Forehead? He's not like other people. Don't bother me, Ino Pig. The pinkette retaliated, leaving a tick mark on her head. I'm as taken aback as you are. What type of taijutsu was it? She inquired, intrigued. How did that idiot get so strong? Kiba asked, shielding Akamaru with his jacket. Wow, he just destroyed those walls to get to that guy. Troublesome, Shikamaru said, his gaze fixed on the arena. There's no doubt Naruto is going to win this. I agree, Choji said, munching on his favorite chips. I never doubted him for a moment, Hinata reflected. And it appears that he'll be finishing this now, she concluded excitedly. He can't seem to finish this fight without showing off, can he? Kakashi thought as he watched Naruto perform a basic Uchtengan taijutsu. Man. I'm glad I'm not the one fighting there, he added, recalling Naruto's use of the same technique on him. I don't want to think about what happened to my ribs after he was finished with me. Does Naruto intend to reveal his Uchtengan? Hiruzen reflected, smiling. He knew he had given the blonde the freedom to reveal his true powers to the world, and he also knew it would change Naruto's life forever because his eyes were the only pair of their kind on the planet. I guess he dropped a hint for today, which could mean he'll reveal his eyes soon. Oh, I can't wait to see what happens. In the arena. The arena was once again clear when the smoke cleared after 2 minutes. Takaru was seen struggling to get to his feet as a swarm of ninjas watched in sympathy. When he finally awoke, he looked ahead to see Naruto standing mere meters away, his right fist glowing yellow. Feel the judgment of the stars. He yelled, punching Takaru in the chest and effectively crushing some of his ribs as he spat out a handful of blood. Nanahoshi no Mai. He exclaimed, sending his opponent crashing to the tower's walls, defeated. Hayate's eyes widened as he realized what he had just witnessed. First, Naruto ripped through Takaru's massive earth wall like it was nothing before easily defeating him. He awoke from his stunned state and cleared his throat. Winner by knockout, Naruto Uzumaki. He exclaimed, to a chorus of applause and cheers. Naruto wiped the sweat from his brow and panted slightly. He looked up at the balconies and noticed Hinata winking before kissing him. The blonde blushed slightly in response, but smiled as he returned to the balconies and leaned against the metal railings for support. Sakura approached him and crouched so that they were at eye level. Are you okay? Sakura inquired, concerned. I'm fine, Sakura-chan, Naruto said. I just need to take a deep breath and I'll be fine. Naruto-kun! Exclaimed someone. Everyone in the room turned to see who it was. With a big smile on her face, Hinata ran straight towards Naruto and pulled him into a bone-crushing hug. I knew you could pull it off. I'm very proud of you. Everyone's eyes widened. Did Hinata simply do what they assumed she did? Naruto didn't ignore what was going on. He blushed slightly before whispering into the ear of the Hyuga heiress, Hina-chan, I think you got their attention. The girl let go of him and looked at their friends, who were taken aback by what had just occurred. As she felt embarrassed, a large blush formed on her face. She started twiddling her fingers like she used to when she was embarrassed or shy. Hinata, what made you hug him? Sakura was the first to come out of their stunned trance. Hinata flushed hotly. She had no intention of hugging him in front of others. She simply wanted to congratulate him on a job well done in his match. Well, I just wanted. Naruto intervened before she could further embarrass herself. I guess you don't know it yet, Naruto grinned broadly. Hina-chan and I are dating, though we aren't officially together yet. Hinata looked at him, surprised that he had just casually announced such an embarrassing thing. Meanwhile, everyone else's jaws were on the ground. You what? They all screamed, causing Naruto and Hinata to cover their ears due to the volume. When did this? Start? Sakura inquired. Well, Naruto rubbed the back of his neck before rising and pulling Hinata close to him. It all started during graduation, and I'm sure you guys remember what happened. No way! Exclaimed Ino. Are you telling me you and Hinata became a couple after kissing back then? Hey, as I said, we're still not together. Retorted Naruto, a tick mark appearing on his head. We're dating right now, and we can't be a couple yet for various reasons. He added under his breath, pouting slightly. Kakashi appeared beside Naruto and began patting him on the back. Well, whatever happens, Naruto, I'm proud of you, he said. Unlike me, you were able to find a girl at a young age. Oh, don't worry, I'll show you how to properly. Before he could finish his sentence, Naruto's fist collided with his stomach, causing him to scream in agony. I'm not like you, sensei, Naruto said quietly. If you ever think of messing with Hinata and I'll burn all of your precious Icha books. He threatened as imaginary flames appeared behind him, causing the masked man to sweat and nod quickly in response. The electric board began to go through all of the participants' names again, and it came to a halt on two familiar foes. Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka, please proceed to the arena, Hayate said, prompting the blonde and Pinkette to exchange glances before leaping down to the arena below. Get ready to lose, brow. Ino declared, but Sakura did not respond, causing the blonde-haired girl's brows to furrow in confusion. Are you prepared? Hayate inquired after coughing briefly, receiving nods from both wrestlers, Hajime. Canonical Sakura vs. Ino because nothing really changes. Except that during their last blow, Sakura was able to stay on her feet using medical ninjutsu while Ino collapsed. Knockout winner, Sakura Haruno. Hayate exclaimed happily, proud of the Pinkette's excellent determination and will to win, which was met with cheers from the shinobi on the balconies. Sakura panted in exhaustion, but instead of returning to the balcony where she had been previously, she walked over to her fallen friend, rival. After sensing her presence, Ino scoffed and turned away. Do you have to rub it in my face as well? She remarked sarcastically. Look, I know you won, but Forehead and I were defeated. It's as simple as that. Now go forth and sell. Before she could finish her sentence, she noticed the Pinkette reaching out her hand to her. With a puzzled expression, she looked at Sakura. If you become exactly like I did before the exams, Ino, you'll lose every battle you fight. She said softly, and the blonde girl's eyes widened slightly as Sakura said her real name. Ino, I changed during the second test. Right now, Sasuke-kun isn't the only thing on my mind. A large number of people are. Kakashi-sensei, Naruto, my family, my friends, and you are among them. Sakura's words had moved Ino, and she was fighting the urge to cry. Ino, we can be friends again. Exactly as we used to. I wasn't trying to win to impress Sasuke-kun while we were fighting. Ino's eyes widened as she admitted. I was trying to win so I could show the world that I've grown stronger than before, the pinkette explained, recalling Naruto's words in her mind. It's not always about Sasuke-kun, Ino. That is what caused you to lose. If I had been fighting for Sasuke-kun earlier, I might have been lying on this floor with you. Forget about Sasuke-kun for a moment and let the real you take over, Ino. You weren't like this before. Ino's eyes welled up with tears as she smiled and grabbed Sakura's hand, pulling herself up in the process. She then joyfully hugged the pinkette, and everyone watching the match applauded the two. Thank you, Sakura, Ino said quietly, and the girl chuckled with delight. As the electric board shuffled through the names of the participants, the duo returned to the balcony where they had been earlier. Gaara of the Sand and Rock Lee, proceed to the arena immediately, Hayate said. Gaara used his sand to reach the battlefield below, while Lee remained where he was for a while. Yosh. I'm going to show everyone what I've learned during my training now, he said. Guy-sensei, beware. I'll give it my all in this fight. He finished, earning a smile from his teacher before sprinting down to the arena for his match. Hello, I'm Rock Lee, and it's great to see a young person compete in these exams. Gaara's eyes narrowed as Lee spoke. Mother says you're weak, he said dangerously. I'll prove it right now by defeating you. Are both combatants prepared? Hayate inquired, receiving a loud, yes, from Lee and a slight nod from Suna's red-haired boy. Hajime. Canonical Gaara vs. Lee. Winner by knockout. Gaara of the Sand, Hayate stated flatly, not appreciating his fellow Konoha shinobi being mistreated like Lee. It was a difficult fight for both genins, especially when Lee opened 4 of the 8 inner gates, which granted him extraordinary strength and speed but only for a short time. Gaara's endurance was the key to his victory. When Hayate noticed Lee hadn't moved an inch since their last clash, he exclaimed, medics. Gaara started walking towards Lee when 2 medic nin arrived with a stretcher. Before he spoke, everyone's eyes narrowed. Let me have him, he said softly. Allow me to have his blood. I'll prove my existence once I kill him. He summoned a wave of sand that headed towards the fallen genin, but was stopped by none other than Uzumaki Naruto, who was now standing defensively in front of Lee's body. Before entering the arena, the blonde unleashed a torrent of water on the incoming wave of sand, turning it into clay. Guy was impressed by Naruto's speed because, in reality, he was about to go down there to save his student, but Naruto beat him to it. Such incredible speed, he said, and Kakashi nodded in agreement. Gaara's pupils constricted when he saw the blonde Uzumaki earlier save his opponent. Why did you save him? He snarled. He was my target, not you. What is he to you for you to save him? Respond. He demanded, drawing a smirk from Naruto. He's one of the people I treasure the most, Naruto said proudly. He's precious to me, and I can't let him go. He's my friend, and I'll always look out for him. It's something that people like you wouldn't understand, he spat, intensifying Gaara's glare even more. Then you will die with him. Your blood will be mine, Uzumaki. Screamed Gaara, sending another wave of sand towards the blonde. Naruto's eyes narrowed before vanishing in a flash, along with Lee's body. Everyone in the arena was taken aback by what had just occurred. Naruto and Lee had vanished, leaving only a yellow wisp where he had been standing earlier, and no one knew where they were. The redhead raised an eyebrow, wondering where the blonde was. He began laughing maniacally after a few moments. Yes, I have proved my... Before he could continue, he felt a hard punch to the stomach, causing him to stumble back. Naruto smirked as he managed to punch Gaara square in the chest. He simply used his meteor to transport Lee to the far end of the arena and then returned to punch Gaara in the stomach. The last of the yellow light covering his body vanished when he looked at Lee, who was still unconscious, then back to the redhead to prepare for a counterattack. Gaara stumbled back a few meters from Naruto's punch as Temari and Kankuro gasped. He hit Gaara, Kankuro mumbled. He had never seen his brother get hurt because of the sand that was always with him, and then Naruto punches him like it was nothing. The redhead's head snapped up with an expression that could kill someone on sight. He clenched his teeth and began to speak as he prepared more of his sand to kill Naruto. "Enough, Naruto!" he screamed, and the blonde heard him. "Return to your teammates and watch the rest of the matches in peace." The blonde shrugged his shoulders and simply did what he was told. "And you," he said, pointing to Baki, the sand team's Junin teacher. "Control your students better, or I'll have no choice but to disqualify them," he warned. "My apologies, Hokage-sama," Baki said, bowing, before motioning for Gaara to return to his teammates, siblings. A few minutes passed, and Naruto spent the entire time staring at Gaara, who was on the opposite side of the arena on the other balcony. The medics had already removed Lee. He was pretty scary earlier, he thought to himself. And the sand never left his side during his match with Lee. It shielded him from every attack. How do I defeat him, just in case? I felt another layer of sand when I hit him earlier. After a few more minutes of thinking, he thought of nothing. Looks like I'll have to use my trump card if I have to face him. "Naruto-kun?" Hinata inquired, turning to face her. "What were you thinking?" "Oh, nothing, Hina-chan," he lied. "Just pondering what to do once this ordeal is over. I actually came up with something." The Hyuga raised an eyebrow. "Want to go to Ichiraku's for a quick bowl?" "Because I'm starving." Hinata laughed as he complained. "Okay, Naruto-kun," she said sweetly, and he kissed her temple to express his gratitude. "So, who's fighting next?" he asked, returning his gaze to the arena floor. When she saw the Konoha shinobi preparing to fight, he widened his eyes slightly. "Wait, isn't that your teammate?" Naruto inquired, and Hinata nodded. "At the arena. Are you prepared, Shino Aburame and Zaku Abumi?" Hayate asked, coughing again. "Hajime. Canonical Shino vs. Zaku Abumi. Shino Aburame wins by forfeit." As the insect user made his way back up to the balcony, Hayate said. When he arrived, he was greeted by his two teammates, who were both smiling. "That was fantastic, Shino," Kiba added, with Akamaru barking happily in response. "See, congratulations, Shino-kun," Hinata smiled, pleased with her friend and teammate's performance. "Thank you," he said, maintaining his stoic expression. "However, if I want to win my next battle in the finals, I need to improve my skills even more. What are your thoughts on some training this Saturday?" he proposed, and Kiba nodded immediately. "Okay, then. I'll be there with Akamaru. We'll be even more powerful than before." Kiba gave a thumbs up. Hinata was a little hesitant. Because she was going to train on Saturday, but it was with Naruto. She didn't want to hurt Shino's feelings because of her gentle nature, but she also didn't want the blonde to feel rejected. She looked over at Naruto, who was standing nearby, and he nodded. Her eyes widened before she said, "Thank you." "Oh, okay. I would also like to train with you guys," Hinata stutteringly said. They couldn't see it because of his high-collared jacket, but Shino gave a small smile. "Excellent," he exclaimed. "I'll see you two later in our usual training area." He finished before returning to where he had been standing earlier to watch the next match. The electric board had already reached a decision on two new names. "Hinata Hyuga and Kazuo Sanada, please proceed to the arena immediately," Hayate said. "Looks like it's my turn now," the girl said, but Naruto wrapped his arms around her and pulled her in for a hug before she could say anything else. "Good luck out there," he said into her ear, and she nodded before entering the arena. "Are you prepared?" The genins both nodded. Hajime. Hinata vs. Kazuo. Kazuo threw 3 shuriken at her, and she simply spun around to avoid them. When she returned her attention to her opponent, he was already charging at her. She caught him with a picture-perfect hip toss that sent him to the floor, reacting quickly. Keeping the momentum going, Kazuo dragged her down and stood up, swapping places with her. But she continued the exchange by dragging him down as well before standing up and returning to their previous position. Recognizing that this would continue until one of them was exhausted, he kicked up himself to his feet and punched her in the stomach before sending her back with a spinning kick. Hinata quickly recovered, activating her Byakugan and attempting to attack with her gentle fist, but Kazuo easily avoided all of them. He kicked her in the stomach when he saw an opening, causing her to bow in pain. He tried to stomp on her, but she took advantage of her current position to attack Kazuo's legs. As Hinata stood up on her feet, the boy hissed in pain and collapsed. She was about to execute a Juken strike when Kazuo kicked her hand away. He stood up and took his sword from its case, which was strapped to his back. When Hinata licked the tip of his blade, he shuddered in disgust. "Do you like it?" he asked before sprinting towards her. She backflipped out of the way of his strikes and tried to wait for an opening, but Kazuo didn't give her a chance and attacked in all directions to keep her from reaching him. Hinata narrowed her eyes and quickly devised a strategy. Her gaze was fixed on his hands as she charged forward. Kazuo raised an eyebrow as a result of what she did, but she maintained her focus. He swung his sword horizontally, aiming for her neck, but she ducked, so he tried kneeing her in the gut. She anticipated the attack and struck his knee with a Juken strike, causing him to scream in pain as his knee tenketsu was cut off. Hinata kicked his right hand away, forcing him to throw away his sword. With no more defenses, she went straight for his legs and landed a few hits on them, destroying his ability to run quickly with chakra. Hinata then blasted him away with a palm strike, but she was defeated when she saw him stand up. However, he was also too weak, so she took advantage of the situation. With her Byakugan and a determined expression, she ran towards him. "This is my chance," she exclaimed. "I'm going to show everyone how much stronger I've gotten thanks to Naruto-kun," she said, cocking her left arm back. On the balconies, Naruto sat back and watched his love fight flawlessly. He smirked as soon as he saw her cock her arm back. Hinata couldn't possibly lose now, so she decided to use it, after all. He reasoned. "I can't imagine everyone's faces when they realize what technique she's going to use." He finished, silently laughing. In the arena, Kazuo couldn't move quickly because both of his legs tenketsu were closed, and he couldn't jump either. He was so preoccupied with figuring out how to avoid her that he didn't notice her appear directly in front of him in an instant. "Get away from me," he yelled, attempting to punch her in the gut. He was too late when he felt her hand on his right cheek, then his left. She kicked him in the stomach, causing him to bow in pain, then followed up with a powerful horse kick and a right uppercut that sent him flying through the air. On the balconies, everyone's eyes widened as Hinata performed a devastating combo on Kazuo. Sakura, on the other hand, was perceptive. She gave Hinata a close look before shifting her gaze to her blonde teammate. It didn't take her long to notice the similarities between Hinata and Naruto. "Wait a minute," she yelled, drawing the attention of all the Konoha shinobi present. She looked at Naruto. "Isn't that Naruto?" He only nodded and said, "MMHM." It didn't take a genius to figure out what the two were talking about, and their eyes widened as they realized what Hinata was up to. In the arena, Hinata jumped up and flipped in the air before delivering an axe kick to Kazuo, sending him crashing back down to the floor and causing smoke. When the smoke cleared, the Kenjutsu expert was covered in bruises and wounds, and he was breathing heavily. When he looked up, Hinata was charging towards him, her palm open. "This technique you're using," he grumbled. "Is it the same as that blonde boy?" The girl ignored him and went about her business. "Feel the judgment of the stars," she screamed, widening everyone's eyes. This is what Naruto said earlier in his match. "Nanahoshi no Mai." She smacked him across the chest with her palm. He felt his ribs crumple and spat out a handful of blood before being flung with a massive force of air towards the tower's walls. Winner by knockout. Hinata Hyuga, Hayate announced, unable to believe the girl had just performed the same devastating jutsu as the blonde Uzumaki earlier. On the balconies. That's Naruto's move. Sakura exclaimed, her eyes widening and her mouth agape. He'd already used it. How did she manage to replicate it? She lacks the Sharingan that Sasuke-kun possesses. She didn't copy it, Kakashi explained, shocking everyone even more. What makes you think that? Kurenai inquired. When Naruto first used the technique, his finishing blow was a straight right punch to his opponent's chest. When Hinata did it, she used her palm instead of her fingers. That could imply that she incorporated the Hyuga's gentle fist into the technique. Is that correct, Naruto? He turned to face the blonde genin, who smiled at him. Wow, Kakashi-sensei, you sure are perceptive. He exclaimed. And I'm guessing you taught her that technique, right? Naruto nodded without hesitation, causing Kakashi to sulk internally, wondering why Naruto hadn't taught him the jutsu first, given that he was his teacher. Hiruzen was taken aback by what Hinata had just done. She just used Naruto's Uchtengan jutsu, he thought. But she had her own take on the move. Could this imply that it is also possible for others to perform it? Oh, Naruto, your eyes never cease to fascinate me. And congratulations on teaching the Hyuga heiress that technique. The Hyuga heiress deactivated her Byakugan and walked slowly back to the balcony stairs where she had been earlier. But as soon as he arrived, she was met with the cold, intense stare of her cousin Neji. You're a disgrace to the clan, he snarled. Using another person's technique to win a battle is not the Hyuga's way. Because of how you won, you don't deserve to be in the finals, he continued, but Hinata remained expressionless. Fine then, if we ever meet in the finals, I will defeat you using our own gentle fist, she replied, causing Neji to sarcastically chuckle. Do you really believe that will happen, my weakling cousin? He smirked. Your destiny has written you as a loser, nothing else. He finished before returning to his team. Hinata scowled at his retreating figure before Naruto rushed up to her and wrapped her in a bear hug. You did fantastic out there. I knew you could pull it off. He complimented her while lightly pinching her cheek. See? As I promised, you're getting stronger. And I always follow through on my promises. Thank you very much, Naruto-kun, she said. He then smiled warmly before grabbing her hand and leading her back to his spot to watch the final match of the preliminaries, as there were only 2 participants left. Choji Akamichi and Dosu Kinuta, please proceed to the arena immediately, Hayate said. The shinobi from Otto jumped down without hesitation, whereas Choji was hesitant to fight. Just get yourself down there. What a pain, Shikamaru grumbled about his teammates' persistence. I don't know, I'm kind of scared, guys, Choji replied, stepping back from the arena. Asuma, his teacher, approached him and grinned broadly. If you win your match, Choji, I'll treat you to an all-you-can-eat buffet, he said into his ear. The Akamichi dashed down into the arena in less than a second, his mind filled with various images of food. Are you prepared? The proctor inquired, and both shinobi responded with a nod. Hajime. Canonical Choji vs. Dosu Kinuta. Dosu Kinuta wins by knockout. Exclaimed Hayate. Choji returned to the balcony where he had been earlier, his head bowed low. He did not win, so there was no buffet for him. Ino approached her friend and began to console him. Unbeknownst to him, Asuma and Shikamaru were silently giggling at the outcome of Choji's fight. Knowing that all of the participants had finished, Hiruzen began to consider what he should do next. He cleared his throat before speaking loudly enough for everyone to hear. All preliminary match winners, please proceed down to the arena, as I have an announcement to make. After a few moments, every genin who won their preliminary match was announced.
That's it for today. If you enjoy this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.